Hey everybody, welcome to Geeksvana Live. I hope you're all extremely well. Thank you for joining me. I just about remember how to do all this and press all the correct buttons and everything else like that, basically. It's good that I seem to be able to remember how to do that. But yes, thank you very much. And yes, as Michaela's saying, very nicely with a with a super chat, a 199 super chat. Thank you, Michaela, for that. Come on, guys, you're late. Yes. Well, I had a clothing malfunction just before I came on air. Now, don't panic. Don't panic. There was no nudity involved. You were not about to be subjected to something that you really do not want to see. But yes, there was a clothing mishap which I have now dealt with, which delayed me coming on a couple more extra minutes, basically. So tonight, I'm going to be talking to you about the fact that I'm back and explain a bit about where I've been and what's been going on and that type of thing. Talk about a couple of different bits and pieces going on, including our new channel is now live. We've even put our first video up on there, which I'm very excited about, which is all about this thing. I was about to wave it around, but it's actually not switched on, so it will flop around in my hands. But we'll talk about this in a few minutes as well, and just really give you a bit of an update in terms of the CAA story and other bits and pieces that are going on the channel. So we've got some very exciting updates and very exciting news and bits and pieces coming. I have a backlog. If I was to show you the list of videos we have in edit and the list of live streams we have planned and all the other types of things that, unfortunately, being off ill for a little bit and, Christmas and everything else like that delays these things and other bigger stories coming up, you wouldn't, it goes on to several pages. It's absolutely incredible. We've got a lot of stuff coming up, and I'm going to be focusing very much on what I think is most relevant, but also bring some varied stuff as well, trying to vary up what we've been covering on the channel. As I know, the CAA story is so important, and it's not going anywhere. We've got some really important updates this week on that story, but obviously we want to make sure that we cover everything we possibly can for all you wonderful viewers. And it's great to see you all in the chat. Thank you to all the channel members who are all here as well. I really do appreciate it. And yes, Scott, how much time flies. Stop making me laugh. Thank you. It's supposed to be very, very, very serious business, this live streaming. So I'm back and feeling better. Mostly, I'm still improving, so the content will increase slowly as the days and the next couple of weeks go along. I was hit by the big bug that everybody's had, but at the time I was going through a flare-up of an ongoing, more serious health issue that I have, heart-related, that I don't really talk about on the channel too much because it's mostly under control these days. But obviously with those kind of issues, when it's not under control, it quite literally is something urgent that you have to, of course, dedicate your time to, shall we say. But yes. So I also want to give a shout out to Simon and to Graham and others who have helped me through that period, including almost standing on my head to stop me in carrying out my job in terms of the channel reporting and everything else like that, to make sure that I took the time off that we needed. But it's been something that's been going on for a few years. It's mostly under control, but I think being hit at the same time with the bug just knocked me out, basically. And I'm getting back to normal now. I'm very, very pleased to report, which is wonderful. One of the other things that kept me quite busy over the recent weeks is actually, if anybody didn't know, Ken Heron's channel was hacked and was taken over by one of these Bitcoin machine type outfits. Now we actually got the channel back under control in what I think was probably fairly record time. Very, very good people at YouTube. We got hold of the right people who took the right steps very quickly, and it seemed to turn around very quickly. Now, over on the new channel, Geekier, I'm actually creating a video for over there because it's tech related, and obviously that is the new tech channel. So yes, we're going to be talking about that over there at some point, because I think it'll be interesting for people to know how we got it back, what happened, and some of the steps that we've learned actually from YouTube themselves as well, in terms of what you can do to ensure that it doesn't happen. And there's only a few steps you really can do. So that'll be coming up in that channel, because it happens to so many people. It's even happened to really large multi-million subscriber channels like Linus Tech Tips, etc., and others, as I'm sure many people know. Now, the new channel, it's called Geekier. You can watch the first video. Let me click this link over into the chat. This is the link. Go watch it after this live show to our first video for those that haven't seen it. I can see people in the chat who've already commented on it. Thank you for that. And that's actually the DJI Osmo Mobile 7P gimbal, opening thoughts basically, with a bit of review in there as well. But we've got a series of other videos recorded, both shorts and longer form, to basically go through what this particular gimbal does and look at some of the creator benefits to it as well, actually, which is it's a good fun piece of tech, and quite affordable to be able to have something that this really is the biggest step forward on this. This is the multifunctional module. I'm not sure that will that. No, yeah, that goes outside. If I have a very specific lighting area on this desk, and it goes dark there, so it doesn't really help for holding things up. But yeah, so this does everything from tracking with this sensor at the top here. There's also a light here, so obviously it can light either in front of you or light your face while you're recording. But it's also a receiver for the DJI Mini, and it clicks on the bottom. It goes both ways round, so you can use the tracking both ways round. On the bottom there. And now the cool thing, if I press the button to turn this on, now I don't have, my phone is currently switched off. Let me put it back into normal mode, as I call it. It's actually a little bit squiff there. Now, the phone is not turned on at the moment. The phone is blank, as you can see. It's like a magic trick, isn't it? But if you look, if I just hold my hand up like this as a gesture, it's now tracking me. So that's really one of the biggest things with this phone gimbal that's changed, is that you don't have to have the phone in the Mimo app or anything. You don't have to be doing anything in particular. It's a native track from this little module at the bottom. You can tell I'm impressed by it, can't you? That basically means that once you're locked in, you're locked in. And you put your hand up again to stop. You can give the V sign to record, which obviously it won't do because it's currently not Bluetoothed into the phone isn't switched on at the moment. And you can also use this symbol for zooming as well. So it's actually, I have to say, I'm actually impressed. As anybody that's watched the video so far knows, I'm more impressed than I thought I would be for a phone gimbal. I kind of got off the, I was very positive towards them when they first came out, but by the second or third iteration, I got off that bus, and I just didn't really see the point of them. But now this is a fantastic way of being able to do some impromptu content when you're out and about, particularly with the quality of camera that things like this Samsung S24 Ultra has, and also it holds the bigger phones. It also works with iOS in a few cool ways. They have the iOS watch. The Apple Watch can actually control it directly via the touch screen on the watch, etc., which is pretty cool, I think. So yes, we're getting ads, are we? Let me press the button for that. Yes, I'm going to have to get back onto that particular issue, which obviously I haven't had to deal with for a couple of weeks, and try and solve that problem. I do have another idea of how to get rid of them entirely, but there we go. We'll have to wait and see for future streams. So that's been interesting, and it is a really nice gimbal. It's been fun starting again on a new channel, and we're going to be doing things like a lot of reviews of tech. Thank you to DJI Hasselblad for becoming a partner of the new channel as well, because that obviously gives us the opportunity to bring some really great products over there. To start a channel with our first video being a new DJI launch was pretty special, and so yeah, thank you to the team at DJI Hasselblad UK for that. Absolutely fantastic. And we've got some really cool stuff coming up, which includes more of the drone stuff. So actually, if you are into drones, you should also subscribe to Geekier, because we're going to be running quite a lot of the how-tos and the skills side of things as well over on that channel, in terms of how to get that shot, that type of thing, but also running down things like which drones do I think are the best drones, lighting. There's a host of videos that we're currently editing and recording to bring you, and it's really things like deeper dives. So with the drones, the idea will be that the launch videos will be here when the product comes out, like the DJI Air 3S and the Flip were, and then the deeper dive videos will all happen over on Geekier, which gives us a little bit more focus. The issue with having everything on one channel over here is that, if we go from a CAA news story and reporting something serious happening in the lower airspace in regulatory terms, etc., and then we go to a video of how to get the best out of your DJI Mini 4, although it's a similar audience, it does sort of smart going between the two. There's a bit of a clash there, basically. So yes, it's good. Oh, thank you, Michaela, for the second super chat. Boo, OnlyFans sneak peek denied. Yes. Well, what can I say? That not only denied, but saved from, indeed. We do have an update, as I was saying, coming up probably later this week, early next week, on the CAA story. We've been copied into hundreds of responses to MPs, or rather letters to MPs and complaints to the CAA. So thank you very much for all the people that have been copying those. Thank you as well for the people that have been copying the responses you've been getting back. We've even started to see responses at including ministerial level. So it's starting to get the kind of mode we want. I'm about to release a second video on that particular campaign, which is a recorded video, a shorter video, which perhaps will play better in some of the Facebook groups and with some of the on the recreational side of things, so that people don't have to watch 3 hours of videos, which I can understand why, of live streams, to know what's actually going on. We needed to go through those longer shows to get there, but I think a shorter one will help as well. But we do also, on the CAA side of things, we've got a wider story coming looking at stakeholder engagement as well, and other aspects of how regulations are formed in the first place for UK airspace, because I think people will be very surprised at some of the practices that are going on and some of the bits and pieces that are happening. So let's have a quick look at the chat, so I can see some questions coming in. Paul King, I have a question regarding, and that's actually, Paul, thank you for raising a question, because that also reminds me that tomorrow evening, Graham is coming back as well, and we're having one of our live Q&As. It's already listed on the channel, so you can go across and click the notify me button for that one as well. But we'll see you tomorrow evening for that one at 7 o'clock, which I'm looking forward to. Paul King asks, I've got a question regarding a DJI Mini 3 and scaring pigeons away from nesting under my parents' roof mounted solar panel PV. Am I allowed to chase them off? No. There are more technical answers to that, but no. I mean, you're talking about pigeons. The problem is it's not necessarily that you're using a drone. It's the act that's happening in the first place, and you would need to get clarification in terms of how you are able to remove pigeons. So that's really the issue. But certainly, I wouldn't recommend, under Article 241, I wouldn't recommend using a drone for something like that. So an aggressive physical action that could end up, of course, quite easily with the drone being taken out and that type of thing. So yeah, no, it isn't something I'd recommend. And in terms of a regulation, I think you would fall foul. Fall foul, come on now, yes. And Amok Timefly says, I can't believe I bought yet another tripod today. Geeksvana, will you be reviewing other associated camera tech and accessories with How Do I's? Yes, Scott, I will. And thank you for mentioning that, because I forgot to mention that part of the new channel. One of the series that we'll be focusing on is creator tech over on Geekier, and that's mainly because I have hundreds of videos that I can make on bits that you can buy for your studio all around me, because of course we have professional level studios, and we have all sorts of things. Like we have every lighting from these large dome lights, which isn't currently switched on because otherwise it would wash me out. Although I have another one here, which is this one you can just see in the corner of my shot on the live shows. Trying to bring a bit of BTS to it, but I'm not sure it actually works, but never mind. But yes, so everything from lighting to microphones. I've got every kind of microphone you can imagine. We've got shelving next door with every kind of video switcher, including tutorials on how we live stream, all of that kind of stuff. Big oof for the pun, Sean. Yeah, thank you. But yes, it's one of those ones where it's a series I'm really looking forward to doing, because creator tech is obviously something I'm really passionate about, because I use it an awful lot. But everything from showing you the channel car and live streaming for clients with Starlink from our own vehicles, all the way through to, we've got a little case that has everything you need in it to go and live stream at a client, with all the wires all hidden away nicely inside. And you just get all the ports on the outside, which is one that we built ourselves, which will be showing a how-to make that as well, rather than spending the one that can cost up to a couple of £1,000s. So that should be good fun, and it will give us an outlet for different types of tech stuff on different levels. So it will help me be able to focus down as well on what I'm doing here on Geeksvana, but actually narrow down the messaging and narrow down the type of content that we're having here to the news stuff, to the journalistic effort stuff, basically, to have that separation. So there's so many videos that I think I really want to make a video on lighting. I really want to make a video on, this microphone is actually a cheap Elgato microphone in the grand scheme of things. It costs about £120. Now, I've got microphones next door in storage that cost me hundreds of pounds, and I've gone through the learning curve of starting off with cheap microphones because that's all you wanted to invest in, going through to very expensive microphones, then back down to not the cheapest but the sort of mid-range cheaper microphones from some of the lower end brands, because actually they just work and they're a little bit more reliable from that point of view. So yes, we have a lot to say on that kind of thing, which obviously isn't the kind of messaging you normally hear from us on the main Geeksvana channel, but I'm really looking forward to doing that. So as I say, that's what's coming up. And we've got the Mars video is probably the first recorded video interview with Pascal Lee over drones returning to Mars again. NASA are delighted, obviously, with Ingenuity's performance up on Mars, and they're sending a couple back. And we've got a fascinating interview with lots of B-roll and footage with Dr. Pascal Lee from the Horton Mars project, to basically go through how they're going to go back and how much more effort NASA are now putting into taking drones on space exploration because of the myriad ways that they can actually help. Basically, it's going to be a really interesting time. And I think it's a good one because it's a very positive news story for drones. And I think we need a few of those at the moment, frankly, with some of the stuff that's been happening out there. So there we go. It was just a quick one today. Anything else in the chat that anybody wants to know? Digital Demon Gaming, hi, good to see you. Hope you're well. I love my HyperX mic. $150 mics in that price range tend to be really good. Yeah, I completely agree with you, Justin. It's one of those ones where you end up, getting the brand and the shape of microphone that every podcaster has to have, and it just, for me, it didn't end up getting the right type of it was very easy for settings to go off slightly and just not get that sound, which really the only sound I really want is hopefully the one that you're getting now, which is very clear, nice and loud, and easy to understand. Basically, I really found that it was getting muddy is the only way I could really describe it before. I just clicked to delay ads another 10 minutes, so I got it that time. I won that time. And yes, Drew would hi, new to your channel and just bought a Mini 4 Pro. I've learned so much from you. Thank you so much. Love the channel. Thank you. I really appreciate it. It's a nice one. Nice message to come back to after being off film. And Tazzy, yes, our senior moderator in the chat. Great to see you back, Sean. Thank you, Tazzy. Yes. Well, it's an interesting one, actually. CJ Drone Photography. Think you need the CAA on your interview. They have their heads in space or space in their heads. Yes. I get the joke now, actually. I was going to answer you on something else, but yes, I see what you're saying and very funny. And Mubble Don, good to see you. The only reason I don't start a podcast is that I require a $1,500 Sennheiser or Sennheiser to capture my dulcet tones. Yes, we demand that only the highest quality for Don's upcoming podcast, frankly. I think he'd be very good at a podcast, to be fair. And why is this now not working? Let me have a little press here. We've gone, so far without any problems, but there we go. Lambo Drive, Zambo, good to see you as well. Hope you're well. So good to see some older names I haven't seen for a while in the chat as well. But there we go. Right. My nose is getting a little bit more bungy again. So obviously I'm not 110%, but I am getting there. So before I start making horrible noises, I'm going to disappear and leave you to the outro music. But yeah, looking forward to seeing you all again tomorrow evening for the Q&A with Graham. It's great to press all the buttons and make sure everything works. Please do go over and watch that video from Geekier when you leave here. Let me click again and put the link to the video there. Go watch that video now. Leave a comment, help the algorithm. It's a sub 200 subscriber channel, so we really are starting again. But I'm looking forward to that exciting journey and continuing the journey over here on Geeksvana as well. Thanks everybody. See you next time. Sean out.